quarterbacks coach, Rick Scangarello.
doing?
Did I say it right?
You got it.
That's pretty good. If you would, introduce yourself and what outlet you're with so he can kind of get to know you, but he'll just have a short opening statement.
Appreciate everyone being here. Excited to be here at Kentucky and look forward to getting going. So, getting to know all you guys.
Questions?
Adam Luckett, Kentucky Sports Radio.
How you doing, Adam?
NFL for a while. Why come back to college? SEC?
For me, personally, the timing was perfect. I excited to be in charge of the offense again, and felt like it was just time to go coordinate and do it. And it just happened to be the right head coach and the right situation that fit perfectly for where I was at my point in my career, and excited to be here because of it.
Got more earlier. When you make that decision, I guess, what are you looking at? Like, was it just Kentucky, or was it this situation, or were you kind of looking at other places? Or?
No, I was not looking at other places. Quite honestly, this was the only college opportunity I even considered. I think that I just aligned with where Coach Stoops is for what he's looking for out of his offense, what he believes at the core, and what I had heard, the kind of man he was to work for, the situation, and I don't know that I jumped in immediately to the opportunity. I wanted to make sure it was right for me, and I explored it and watched plenty of their tape, and it just it seemed like a very good fit, and I think that made the transition easy for me.
What jumped out when you started looking at film?
Did the style of offense they played. Liam did a nice job last year. Some familiarity with that. The quarterback, being able to work with Will, the tailback, just the entire group of guys that was coming back. There's something to build on here, and I'm excited about helping take it to the next level if I can.
John L. with the Courier Journal. You've had an unusual coaching path.
I have.
Walk us through why you were willing to make some of those jumps that most people wouldn't be, and then maybe how you got into coaching too as somebody who didn't play in college.
Yeah, I'm a complete outlier in a lot of ways. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, this wasn't my, we all have a path. Things kind of break your way. How I got pulled in is a long story, but I was fortunate enough to end up at a school, UC Davis, early in my career. The first quarterback I ever worked with got drafted in the NFL. He was a Division II finalist for the Harlan Hill, and I mean, these were non-scholarship quarterbacks that were developed into pro players. The first quarterback I ever really worked with, J.T. O'Sullivan, played a decade in the NFL. I was around some real good ones real early with the best quarterback teacher that I've ever been around, and that was Bob Biggs at UC Davis. It taught me a lot, gave me a foundation, started me on my path. Then I got around line guys. I was at Idaho with Tom Cable, and the whole staff were line guys, and that became part of my expertise to know the run game, pass protections, outside zone, and it became what I did throughout college. That led me to Kyle Shanahan. And ultimately, that's how I ended up in Atlanta in 2015. So there's a lot of stops in between. Things happen. Been able to coordinate at 1AA schools across the country, but very fortunate, lucky to do what I do, and I ended up in the right spot for me right now, and I'm excited about it.
I talked to Coach Biggs last night. He said you walked into his office sight unseen. He didn't know who you were, and you asked if you could volunteer on the staff. So.
Yeah, we had a mutual friend who played there that recommended me to him, and it just one of those buildings where at that point I had been coaching high school football, and I knew that I thought I was going to go back and be the head coach at my high school. Quite honestly, that's what my intent was, and I got around him, and it just changed my path. And the things that I believe today, the things that I teach. My ability to evaluate quarterbacks, what got me to the NFL, a lot of that, the foundation I'm grateful that I got from him.
Michael Epps with WDKY. Coach mentioned you've been hunkered down, already getting the work, getting ready. What excites you about the players that you have here on the offense, and just kind of are you salivating at kind of the tools and a lot of talent that this offense has coming back?
Yeah, I mean, it's happening fast. Spring ball's around the corner, so you gotta get going on that. And there's been a foundation laid that's kind of set the trend for where we're headed. And yeah, there's some really good players coming back. I can tell that, Coach Stoops has done a great job recruiting the right types of people. I feel good about the attitude, just meeting them, the intent, how they want to get as good as they can be. And I think the pieces are there. It's our job to bring it together. And yeah, I'm excited about doing it.
Rich, a story from the last thing you'll do. how big an advantage is having the offensive line coach come from the same program you've come from? And would you have taken the job if Zach weren't here?
And that's a great question. It would have been much harder to take the job. Not that I don't feel great about the entire situation, but it's to be successful in such a short time period now that it's happened a little later. That particular position, having a rapport and a connection to do what we'd like to do, that's the hardest part. I don't want to be coaching all the coaches. I want to do this together, and to be able to have someone that knows where you're coming from and be on the same page, put a plan together, help the players get up to pace with how we want it to look. That is a big deal from my perspective, and to help the transition. So yes, it was definitely a nugget that made it much more enticing.
What makes Zach, like, good at his job? I mean, what
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, in some respects, kind of like myself. I mean, when you've kind of been at all levels and you've done it at all levels, you have to. Part of being a great coach is being a great teacher and communicator, and then part of it is the knowledge you gain to be able to teach. And you have at different points in your career, you have to take jobs to get you to be that guy that has all the knowledge and the ability to teach it. And I think that being a good teacher, and then the time he spent in the room and being around in San Francisco, you just that level of football, how we talk, what we teach, the way we do things, I think it's second to none. And I think that allows you to be the best coach you can be, quite honestly.
You're also inheriting a quarterback. How big was that to have a guy, Will, that's kind of proven, and what do you see on tape specifically with him, and what kind of excites you to get the chance to work with him?
It's random, but I want to say it was the LSU game last year, but there was a game where we were sitting watching, having Saturday night dinner in the NFL before our team meetings, and Kentucky was on, and I was like, man, I just, quarterbacks catch my eye. It's kind of what I do, I would think, and I was like, man, this guy's pretty good, and it just something that I remembered. And then when this all happened pretty fast, and I went back and I watched Kentucky's tape, I was like, the qualities that I would look for in a quarterback, he possesses a lot of them. And I think that's it's fun to work with guys like that and help them, just kind of bring out their best game. And that's my goal.
What are those qualities? Is it arm strength? Is it size? Is it pocket mobility?
I would say this, like, it's the toughest to me. Well, let's say the NFL, to play quarterback at the highest level, to me, is the toughest thing in sports to do. And that requires toughness. It requires an intellect, football intellect, processing ability, and then the physical ability to pull it off. And that can look a lot of different ways. Some guys are, it could be Drew Brees and Mahomes and everything in between. Josh Allen, how you play. Those are the kind of the top guys. And so the ability to be an athlete, to be an above the line thrower that has more in you, and that toughness and smarts, those are the kinds of things that I would always look to work with.
Rich, Nick Rouse from Kentucky Sports Radio. We've heard a lot about things are going to be similar, the similarities, the continuity from one system to the next. What's going to be different with you calling plays?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we're from the same family. The tree of the system itself. The last thing I would ever want to do is bog down the players by reinventing the wheel. They have a great foundation, and there's some stuff but there are, like anything, you want to put your own spin on it, or it's going to look at how you see it and want to call it. But ultimately, it comes down to my job to evaluating the players, the types of players they are, their talents, and help put them in a position to be successful. If we do that, we'll be the best offense we can be. We'll score some points. We'll be explosive, and we'll be what we want to be.
Coach Darrell Word, I run the Castballs here in town. There's a million different ways to do this in offense. What is it that you like about this style? What draws you to that?
You're right. There are a lot of ways to win football games, and college football is evolved to more of a spread game, and it was honestly why I knew in 2012, 13 it was time to go do everything I could to get in the NFL, because I was becoming, in my opinion, a dinosaur. Things are evolving back the other way, in my opinion. I think that you have an edge when you can play this style of football at this level now. It's harder for defenses to where they used to have trouble getting ready for tempo. Now, hey, let's let them try and learn how to fit our run game. It's just different. And then what you can do off of that, creating conflict and creating explosive plays, which you can do with the right type of quarterback. And yeah, that's the part where I want to bring it together and put that out on film and do something that this whole university is proud of.
Maybe it's going back towards the NFL style now. As a guy who just came from the league, how important is it when you're evaluating draft prospects to see players who thrive in an offense that works at that level too?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. I just went through an entire process last year where we were drafting a quarterback very high. And when I evaluate a quarterback in the NFL, I'm going to watch every snap he's ever played in college football. Heck, I even go back to their high school film sometimes. So to do that last year was pretty intense. So I was able to really connect with offenses in college, styles of play, types of players, and see it again and watch it closely, which helped me with this whole process and see how people fit together again in college and all that. And because I'm not that far removed from it, and my friends and I've stayed close to it, but it just helped me for this opportunity to see how guys fit and how they'll I'll be able to use them.
Forty-niners were really funny in terms of wanting to run football and playing football. Probably more, and I can see the fact that you lean a lot stronger on the run.
Yep.
And of course, this is when you can't have the run back coming back, as running backs in the past come back to the FBL. Is that attractive to you in terms of being able to take a job also?
Yeah, I think that to have a head coach in college football say, "Hey, I want balance. I want to play a little under center. These things are important to me. I think they're hard on a defense." That belief is why I'm here. And so, yeah, finding a way to incorporate the style of players we have in our scheme and what that looks like. Is it run heavy or not? We were designed that way in San Francisco, and that's the style we played. But in the end, it's about scoring points. It's points per possession and making sure you do a good job of taking care of the football when you have it. And I think what we look like on the field, those are the goals. It'll morph into, are we a little more pass heavy with the quarterback, a little more run heavy? What are our personnel groups, things like that? I can't answer that yet, but we have the flexibility to be what we want within our system, I believe.
This may be a long shot. When Mark hired Liam last year, did that kind of set off a bell with you? To see how this goes?
I crossed paths with Liam and I had watched it, and then he did a nice job. And coach, it was they had really good year last year, and yeah, it's one of those things that you keep an eye on. I thought. Not to mention another program, but I thought Sarkisian did a nice job with Mac Jones, and I watched a lot of his film, and I thought, man, I can see how you can mix it up again in college, and I see where you can cause conflict for defenses, and it did get my mind going where if the opportunity was the right opportunity with the right school, with the right head coach, with the right players around, I'd be all in and committed, and let's go.
So did you reach out here, or did they reach out?
It was really a coach reached out to me it was a mutual friend as he was going through the process, and one of the other coaches that was involved in the process had actually worked for me, and it came on my radar through coach, through a mutual friend, and once we talked and had an amazing conversation, I was all in.
How do you feel about
Last ones.
the gauntlet of recruiting in the SEC? Obviously, that's something you don't have to worry about as an NFL coach. Maybe that leads some guys to go back to the NFL at some point.
Yeah.
How are you approaching that part of the job?
Recruiting never bothered me before in college football. It has evolved in a lot of different ways. But quite honestly, with the portal and the way the game's going with the likeness and things like that, it's evolving a little bit more towards the pro game, quite honestly. And like it or not, it's here. It is what it is, and fitting in that doesn't bother me at all. And I'm excited to bring the best players to Kentucky we can bring.
Jimmy G or Trey Lance?
No comment.
Thank you. Bring